there is one society that took a lot of money from freshers and they never showed up. So if any senior, like if any junior is going to come and just send me a message that do you think this society is worth attending, I'm straightforward going to say no to that. So you can actually get your answers there. You can take the average of all the answers and you can decide for yourself. And if you don't get the answers, just try to be part of that program for 1 month and you will get your answers.
Also, there's this interesting question. Like, please tell how to communicate at to the people who are not really interested to talk, but uh, you have to talk to get your thing done.
Okay. So, who are not really interested to talk? See, this question is really depend upon the circumstances, you know. If that someone who is not interested to talk is your teacher, whom you have to take your doubts at any cost, then you have to do it. Like you have got no other option. But if that is someone like uh, most of the time now, whenever we are talking to our seniors, it seems like they are not interested. They don't want to give you advices, but that's always because our questions are vague. So I have done it a lot, and you all do it a lot. We just go straight up to anyone and just ask random questions to them. Whenever you want to ask any question to anyone, firstly do your research and then see the flow of your conversation. Then you are going to get all your answers, because you can actually say to that person, okay, but yeah, I have like searched it online also, and this is what I got. Do you think it is worth it? Do you think I can take it? Do you think it is okay? Is it okay? Then they are going to say, oh yeah, this is a good thing, this is a good course, or yeah, you can do this, this is an interesting project, or maybe anything you want to talk about. And but if you are going straight going to say to any senior of yours like, bhaiya, how should I take is Python slow? Should I take Python or C++? What should I learn? Or do you know any good resource? So they are going to say, even if you do a one Google search, you are going to get 100 of resources. And most probably the top ones are the best ones, because that's why they are on the top. Okay. So whenever you are asking for a suggestion from someone, don't straight up ask a big question that they have to explain. Always make their efforts very minimal, that they have to give a yes no answer, or they have to tell something from their experience. So don't ask which is the best course. Ask I have googled it, or I have searched for it, and these are the five things I felt like they are okay. Would you like to suggest any one of them? And I'm like 80% sure they are going to reply you, and that will be the best information they can give you. So whenever the person in front of you will feel ki, okay, you have done some work before just actually asking any random question, then they are going to help you. Most of the seniors, when like most of the people, like students, when they become a senior, they really are not interested to talk to juniors because their question are vague. They feel like these people like these kids don't want to do anything, they just are roaming around, they saw us, so that's why they are asking random questions. And that's a really irritating thing. So I will highly suggest you that if you do that, you can cut on that. You can actually do some research, let the person know that you have take some efforts. And if this if the person will feel ki, okay, you have made some efforts, he is definitely going to help you out. For freelancing, it's always better to show the work you have done till now. Either it's for yourself only, or you have done it for any other clients. If it is like okay to show it to them, then show it. If it is not okay, you can easily like put analytics there, like I work for these clients, and these this is how their analytics changed, or analytics will change in marketing and stuff, but if it is an article or something you're writing, then you can say this is how much views this article got, or this is how much praise this article got. Or maybe if you are making any video or something, you can say this is how much like interaction this video have got. So these are the things you can put when you are actually talking about freelancing. You can put how much experience you have and how was like your past clients experience with you. So you can also add testimonials. Just don't add testimonials in your resume, just add a link to them, and if they will be interested, they are definitely going to see it. And for internships, I will highly suggest you that whenever you are applying for a new role, always restructure your resume around that role. So for example, when you are like applying for maybe backend development, maybe so you can actually put your project that is based upon that on the top. And whenever you are applying for software engineering, or you are applying for a problem setter maybe, then you can actually put your coding experience or competitive experience on the top. And when you are using your resume for scholarships or different type of scholarships, yeah, programs, then you can actually see that what is the theme behind this program. Every program has a theme. Like for example, women tech makers have this theme that they want to get leaders out of the women, make leaders. And for example, outreachy have this theme of diversity. So in outreachy, when you are applying, you would like to show that how you are impacting others life, how much impact you are creating, even if it is like 7 people, small group, you are just helping small group, it's okay, but you are creating an impact. And if it's women tech makers, you can actually show that these are the things I have done, this is how these things can reflect my leadership. Maybe that's about a basketball team you have been captain of, or anything like that. Maybe it can be a very small thing, that small stuffs like you were the part of you organized any event in your school, in your college, you were part of the exhibition team, or you were head there, or you were the head boy, head girl. That actually shows you were the leader in the at that time, and you have leadership skills. So you have to restructure every time you are like doing something. I can bet on that in even like as less as 4 months, you can actually get back your experience in coding. Because if you like the only thing is you have to be consistent. Right now you need to like, even if it is one question, you need to like do it daily, because consistency matters a lot. And you can do one another thing. Like I know it will be very difficult for you to like manage time. So what you can do is you can just always have this tab open in your phone where you are the hacker rank is open maybe, and you can just read one question in the morning. And then you can whole time when you're doing stuff, or you're handling your baby or anything, you can just keep thinking about that question, that okay, how I can solve this, how I can form a logic, how I can form this algorithm, how I can code it. And then at night have a fixed time, and then try to code it out and run it. And this is a really great way, because I we don't have like Wi-Fi in our college. That's really weird, but we don't have. So what I used to do was I used to take screenshots of the questions on my phone. And while I was in my class and I'm not paying any attention, I used to like just read the question. And I used to see the blackboard, and I am just thinking about my question, that how I can solve it. So when you are like doing some stuff that don't need that much of your attention, then you can actually think about your question when maybe you are spending time with uh, alone. I hope that helps.
Hello, Dee. Can you hear me? Amisha
Yeah.
Pandey. Okay. Actually, I wanted to know, I am a freelancer, a first year student, and from a Tier 3 college. So the question was that mostly I find people who are not so interested in what work I am doing right now. Mostly I am surrounded with like my roommates or people like that, they are like gossiping and talking something that I'm totally not interested. And this way things happen that I feel underconfident that uh, am I doing right thing like freelancing or coding. So how to deal with it? Or in fact, the second question is also that how to find, I am good in communication, but still, if you can share something that how can I find people who can help me explore and yeah.
So like I can totally feel you. This happens a lot, and especially in a tier 3 college, uh, when people are not doing the stuff you are doing, they will try to like demotivate you and they will question you a lot that why you are doing this, what are you doing, uh, this is not how it works. And you are a good communicator, I can see that. But the only thing is, you don't need to get demotivated first. You should be proud that you are doing stuff, and we always have that confidence in you. Go on LinkedIn, find the people in your niche, engage with them, try to make bonds with them, and then try to make a group where you can actually learn. So in the starting, when I started YouTube, it was really tough for me, because I don't have an I didn't have any idea that what is this all about, what is this new platform and new opportunity that I have stepped into. But then what I did was, then I started to collaborate with others, like a lot before I actually made a video with some other person. I actually like messaged them that hi, I am also a YouTuber, or I have this small YouTube channel, I am doing this stuff, I would like to connect. And they were all actually very helpful. They were all actually wanted to talk to someone who is in the same niche. And then now we all are like friends, we all people who are on YouTube, like we all can easily talk to each other, we have each other's number, we can message and ask them, okay, what you are doing, and how is this things work, and I'm facing this issue with my YouTube or stuff. So when you have a small group where you have people in your niche, it gets very easy. So try to find people who are like who are in your niche, who are doing freelancing, and they are maybe of your age, and um, even if they are seniors, it will help you. So go try to find it on LinkedIn. It will be very difficult if you are only trying to find them in your campus, because most of the time you will not find the perfect people there. You can find a lot of people online, and so online is the new normal. Connect
Okay.
with them.
Yeah. Also, a question that as you're talking about online, the thing is that I talk to people and it's mostly professional, like what you're doing, how you're doing. But what I want is to have some casual friends. And so, is it possible to have friends online?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Like if I will think about my experience, how I made casual friends with the people who are in my niche. So there are a lot of YouTubers who are like near my age, and who have like same milestone that I am on right now, like 10K, 12K, 15K subscribers, and we are all like started at the same time. So like in the starting, we all uh, talk to each other very formally, like, okay, hi, I am this person, and would you like to collaborate with me, I want to make a video on this topic. And it was like, okay, hi, yes, I can make them, and very formal chat. But usually what we did was, after we have ended that conversation, we it all like one question makes all the difference. Like before ending the question, I have this habit of asking, okay, how's your YouTube going? And that like breaks the like that is like a icebreaker question, if that person is actually wants to be like talk to you informally, and it's okay for him to be informal, then he will definitely tell you that, okay, I'm facing this issue, or it is going very well, or I have these plans. And that really helps me. I always ask like after any end of the interview, that how's going, how's your work going, how is life going. And that's when the real interaction happen. That's when people actually tells me about what they are doing, and we get a bond that is like more of an informal bond than a formal bond. And then it's always about the first conversation that you are going to have informally, and then you are going to be friends. Then you can easily like chit chat and share your problems with them, because they will easily understand your problems now. Now I face, sometimes I face a lot of issues in my like YouTube. They have this whole YouTube studio setup and stuff. So and there are a lot of technical issues. If I share these problems with my classmates, they don't really understand anything. They're like, okay yaar, solve kar le khud se. So but but if I share with them like all the my niche people, they can easily get the, oh okay, you are talking about this thing, I also face this is how you can resolve it. And I was like, oh, this is how you have to do it. You have to ask the right people the right questions, then you are going to get the answers. So try to collaborate, try to make it a little bit informal. You will get the feeling that, okay, is this person open for an informal chat or not. And it's okay, like don't push too much, don't be a lot like don't be informal all of a sudden. Don't like you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for sharing.